take a second and apologize, first of all, for not necessarily getting together for a full blown class or orientation leading up to our parent child dedication. But I do want to be able to share a couple thoughts, couple ideas with you leading into this Sunday's dedication service. Um, dedication, I'm on my third child. We've dedicated each of our children. It is a very special moment for my wife and I when we do that. But I do want to remind folks that it's not just about the ceremony. It's not just about the pretty aspect and the cute thing, the pretty dress for the little girl or the handsome outfit for the little boy, and just getting to be able to get up in front of everybody and to share a cute moment. I oftentimes feel like it's Simba being lifted up into the air on Pride Rock, but it's more than just a ceremony. I want to encourage each couple, each mom, each dad, whatever the parenting scenario looks like for your home. I would love to see you guys really put thought into to dedicating your child to the Lord and not just a ceremonial thing happening this Sunday. So I'd like to encourage you to think that through this week as you lead into this dedication time frame. Now, here's one thing I would like for you to think about. Raising children is not necessarily, I've got some notes here in front of me on my desk, so if you see my hand here in this camera, then that's what that is. I've got some notes here, and raising children is not just a one-time thing. It's not just something that happens by accident. It's not anything that you can spend some time with the kid once here and there. It's not you throw a ball with them and they're going to be an awesome ball player, or they're going to be well-rounded. It's not you share a couple moments with them. It is something that happens over time. So there are 6 things that I want to look at that happens over a period of time. And so the first one, we need to make sure that we spend time over time. And what I mean by that is when you say you need to spend time with your kids, you need to spend not just a little bit here and there, like I said a second ago. You need to spend time over and over and over again. If you see behind me, I know I've shared this with some parents, and some parents are not a huge fan of it because basically what it does is it helps us to remember that our time is limited with our children. Our children have been given to us for just a short time, and our job and our goal is to raise these children, to send them out into the world, and to live for Christ in everything and in every way of their life. So behind me is each kid, and both camera angles will get each kid, but I've got Jennings right here, and then I've got Kennedy, and then I've got Asher. Now each of these kids and each of these marble frames has a set number of marbles in it that I take out each week. Now I'm a little behind, but I still know how many marbles are in it and how many marbles need to be in it, so I can catch up if I have to. So just bear with me. Now I will share this with you. There is an app called Legacy. Let's see if I can get it to. Oh, there it is. So on the Legacy app, you can put your children. I've got each of my children listed down here, and so basically what this does. Jennings over here, she's got 501 weeks left in the care of my wife and I. This is until graduation. It's really hard, especially now seeing at this very moment, I am close to a 500 mark. It is estimated that from birth to graduation, there is 936 weeks from birth to graduation. So I am getting close to the halfway mark with my oldest. Kennedy, she has 658 marbles left. And then Asher, who is this last one, let's see if trying to point at it there. And Asher has 814 weeks until graduation. Now, I don't say this to stress any parent out or to make them think, oh my gosh, my time is gone. No, it's not gone. Here's what we want to do. I would love to see each parent invest their time wisely. We don't go on a trip. We don't go anywhere. We don't plan. We don't go into things without planning most of the time. Most of the time when we go on a trip, we'll get out our phone, or you used to go to AAA and have them map it out and everything like that. But we get on our phone and we map out where we're going. Very rarely do you just get in a car and just go and see what happens. Now there was some teachers that work in the Sunday school department with the kids, but they actually just took a vacation that way not long ago. But they're both retired. They both have the ability to just say, hey, let's just see where the road takes us. But most of the time, you plan your trip. And when you plan your trip, you look ahead to where you're going and where that might take you. And so when we do that in our life and in the life of our kids, it helps us to spend each of those marbles wisely. We want to spend each of those marbles and not be at their college, or not their college, not be at their senior year of high school and think, where did all the time go? Because if you wait until later, it's like cramming for that test in school. I was bad about that. I was never one that was really ahead of the game and would work hard to make sure that I was studied ahead of time. I would cram it all in at the end. And that just doesn't work. It doesn't stick with you and it doesn't last. So the first thing over time we need to spend is time. Time over a period of time. It's not quantity of time, it's not quality of time, it's the quality of the quantity, or the quantity of the quality. You need to have both. You need to make sure that you are investing in your kids on a regular, ongoing basis. Now the next one is this. We need to have love over time. And when we look at love over time, we see that who are the people that have loved you over time and have proved that matter to you. Now, if you could just write down a few of those, who would those people be? I don't really know. But it wasn't because they loved you once or they did something for you once. It was that they did it for you over time. Love over a period of time is when it really takes place. One of the ways you can prove that you love a kid over time is really knowing them. You can't learn about them once. You have to learn about them over time. How can you make discoveries more about them on a weekly basis? Now, parents, I want to look at you. Some of you guys, when I look at who we've got, as far as dedicating, some of you guys are not new parents. Some of you have children. You have multiple children above the age of the one that you're dedicating now. So some of you guys are not new to it. Some of you are. But no matter where you're at, and especially if you have other children, what you do know is that every child is different. And when you look at every child is different, you have to learn that specific child. What works for that child? What doesn't work for that child? What makes them tick? What makes them happy? What is it about that child that is different than the rest? What discipline aspects work? And what's crazy is you're going to have to learn them over a period of time, because what you may learn is what they love now, they're not going to love later. What your child's favorite color is when they're 2 may change. What they want to be when they're 4 or 5 and when they're entering elementary school may be different than when they're older. They're going to change, so you need to know them over time and learn ways to express your love to them over a period of time. Not the last one, we're halfway there. The next one, number 3, is words. You need to have words over time. You need to invest them in your child over a period of time and not just a one-time thing. When you become a parent, what were some of the words or phrases that you learned? Now, I did a sermon not long ago, things you never thought you'd have to say as a parent, and there were many different responses on what people would say, and things that you never thought you'd have to say as a parent. No, you can't put that there. No, don't do that, or don't stick that there. All kinds of things. And probably even now, some of you guys are still just holding the baby for the first time. Some of you guys are beginning to learn them and correct them, and they're beginning to toddle along and get into things, and you're beginning to say things that you never thought you'd have to say as a human being. You tell these little people, don't do that, or quit doing that, or just a mass variety of things. So you need to invest your words. Words matter. The old phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. I'm not sure where that ever came from, because the truth of the matter is words do hurt. Words probably hurt and have a longer lasting effect than a stick or a stone. So words over time make a huge difference. So it's not just saying something one time, it's saying something over a period of time. They need to hear it over and over and over again. How does your vocabulary change as your kids get older? How does it change with culture? You need to learn the culture's language, and you need to learn the kids' language, and you need to know what's going on. Now, I'm not saying you need to try to speak like them when they're a teenager, because that will be the furthest thing from what you need to do. It may be fun to embarrass them every now and then, but you don't need to necessarily put that out there and try to talk hip, yo, dog, what? You know, that's going to embarrass them, which is fun sometimes, but that's not necessarily what you need to do all the time. All right, so we're going to just hit these quick, so let me move on to the next one. Stories. You need to share stories over a period of time. And when I say stories, you need to open the Bible. You need to open a book. You need to read to them. You need to just spend time with them. You need to tell stories about your life. You need to tell stories about your husband's life, their dad's life, their mom's life, their grandparents, if they haven't got to know them. Let them hear grandparents' stories. Let them hear stories. And again, that's not just once or twice or here or there. It's just over the lifetime of that child. And the more they hear it over time, the more likely they will be that will make an actual influence in their life. Which matters more, the story or the way you tell the story? If it's both, then how are you presenting stories to your kids in your life? Does it connect with them? So again, remember, learn your kid, because the stories you tell now may not affect them later. Now, we all know that as kids, our parents would tell stories, and we were like, Mom, I've already heard this. Dad, I've already... For me, it was probably Mom most of the time. Mom, you've said this one. Mom, I heard this one every Christmas. But I think it's important that they hear these stories and hear the culture of your family, and to know what's important to you and your crew. So stories are huge. Most important story is the story of Christ. That needs to be a part of who they are, a part of their life, and a part of how they are brought up. And I think what's really important there also is they need to see it in you. If you're preaching the story of life, the story of Christ, into their life, and they're hearing that over and over and over again, then they need to see it in their mom and dad. Again, an old phrase. What was up with our parents and grandparents with these phrases and things? Do as I say, not as I do. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. Whoever came up with these are just ridiculous, because sticks and stones do hurt, but words do too. Do as I say, not as I do. We don't need to model that anymore. I know there's times that as parents we do things that maybe we know we shouldn't do, and we know it's not the best example, and we're like, well, but you don't do it. Even though I'm doing it, you don't do it. But they really need to see that you're doing what you're asking them to do. So if you're teaching about Christ, then you need to model Christ in everything that you do. Here's the fifth one. The fifth one is the phrasing is a little bit different than what you may think, but it's tribes. You need tribes in your children's lives. And what I mean by tribes is this. You need groups of people in your children's lives that are doing the same thing and saying the same thing as you. You need people influencing them in their life that are going to speak into them just like me as their dad. Now, here's one thing I know. I remember growing up and playing baseball as a kid, and my dad would tell me, hey, swing the bat this way, catch the ball, throw the ball, do something this way. And he would teach me and coach me some different things. And, he's my dad. What does he know? Then I'd go to practice, and the coach would tell me something. And I would begin hitting the ball, and I'd hit the ball, and it was working. And the coach had this miraculous idea for me to try and to practice, and it worked. And I went home and I was like, hey, Dad, guess what? I'm starting to hit the ball, right? And this line drives instead of popping it up every time. He told me not to drop my elbow, to keep my elbow up and to make a good, even cut through. And my dad's like, I've told you that. That's what I just told you. And as much as that's frustrating and annoying as a parent, because now I am seeing it, because I've told my oldest two, I've told them things, and they come back and say, hey, so and so said this. I'm like, I've told you that. But now that I'm expressing it and seeing it come back, and now that I'm an adult and I see these things, it's easier to see that instead of being frustrated by it, which I probably still will be, I can take heart in that. I can be excited at the fact that I have someone else in the life of my kids who is saying and doing and teaching the same thing that I'm teaching. Because no matter how much you want it to happen, kids won't listen. Your kids won't always listen to you. Sometimes they need that outside voice saying the same thing. In a lot of cases, it'll be something that's a little more important than maybe just baseball. Baseball's important, sports are important. I think they teach a lot of different things, but I think when we look at this in our life, we see that having outside influences in our kids' lives makes a huge difference. Because there may be times when they don't want to tell you something, but they'll tell the small group leader here at church. Maybe there's a time when they, even in coaching, they won't hear it from you, but the coach says it. So you need people who are speaking into them, especially when and you can't just wait until later. It has to happen over time. These have to be people who are in their lives now over time, so that when it comes time for them to speak moments of truth to them, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to choices of right and wrong, and the hard topics later on in life, you can't expect to just shove someone in their life when they're teenagers and expect that to work. It has to come over time. So think about people, other women for your daughters. Man, I want people other than just my wife in the life of my daughter, my two daughters. I want someone that's speaking into them, that can help them and show them and be a voice of reason and a light of Christ to them outside of just me and my wife. My son needs that, needs a man in his life other than just me that can show him what it is that he needs to do in his life. All right, number 6, the last one, is super, super difficult. Actually, for some of you guys, it may be difficult, but for me, it's not necessarily the hardest of the 6, because it seems something you shouldn't even necessarily have to say, but for some people, it is a little more difficult because they're maybe not the fun parent. They're more the detailed person, the one who's making sure everything is done and getting in place, and backpacks and lunches are packed, and money is laid out, and diaper bag is packed and ready to go, and different things like that. So the truth of the matter is, sometimes, normally I co-teach this class with Kim Kerr, and Kim would say that she's not necessarily the fun parent. But for me, that's not an issue, because one of the biggest things that I like to do is to just get in the floor and play. Yesterday, even in our front yard, we threw football around. All 3 of my kids, we threw football. We ran and tackled each other. We played two-hand touch and different things like that. So fun is important, and it has to happen over a period of time. You can't take a every now and then vacation and think you're good to go. You can't take a trip down the street to Cart Country and think you're good to go. You have to invest in your children and their fun over a period of time. So when we look at all 6 of these, you need to invest time over time in your children. You need to invest love over time, words over time, stories over time, tribes. You need tribes in your life, in the life of your kids, over time, and you need fun over a period of time. So moms, dads, whoever is out there and wanting to dedicate their children to the Lord this weekend, This is way different than I've ever done before, and I really do apologize that this is done through video. It's going to be about 20 minutes long by the time it's all said and done of me talking, and nobody really wants to just hear me talking for 20 minutes at a time, so I apologize for that. But moms and dads, I do want to the last thing I want to say to you is this. I encourage you. I am here to continually encourage you, but I would love to hear you invest in your children over time, because the fact of the matter is, if I were to give you a jar of marbles with the number of weeks that your children have from now until graduation, this jar would go quickly. Some of you that are parenting and have older children, you can definitely tell me that is right. My two girls are about to turn 9 and 6 in a few weeks, and I just found some old pictures on my computer, and it just seems crazy that they're that far along, and that JJ's picture frame that I built for her is about half empty, and it's sad to see, but I know that means that my time of influence is shortening. But I want to look at the positive side. Instead of the glass half empty, I want to see it half full, because her picture frame is still half full. I still have some awesome times with her, and investing in her life, and spending time with her, and having fun with her, and telling her stories, and help creating tribes around her, and using words and love and time, and just investing in her and Kennedy and Asher. So I want to encourage you as parents, find a way to visually remind yourself that your time is limited, and work every day on your investment of how you invest in them. Work every week that the marble that you pull out, that it was spent well, and that you don't go, oh, I kind of wasted that week. And if you do, then maybe go back and say, you know what, next week's going to be better. But use some type of visual reminder that will help you to remember that your time is limited, but to use your time wisely. Most of us don't go through life without a budget, and if you do, then I would suggest on the finance side, budget your money. It's nice to know where your money goes and how it's spent, instead of looking at your wallet at the end of the month or the bank account and saying, hey, where'd my time go? I don't want you to be at your child's senior year of high school and think, where did her time go? Where did all the time go with my son? And I can't get it back, and I can't invest any more time over time, because my time is limited and over, and it's going to be hard to cram it all in at the end. So use your time wisely, and I would love to hear from you. I'm going to put a couple different videos for you to kind of check out to go along with some of the teaching. Some of it's going to be echo of what I've already said. Some of it's going to be way better communicators than myself, but I want to put that online with this. And I want you guys to take a look at it so that you can see and hear some different thoughts on parenting as we come into this dedication time. I encourage both parents to watch this video, watch the other videos, and I look forward to watching your child grow. I look forward to seeing them become a Christ follower. I had a really cool opportunity, and I promise I said I was going to be done, and here I've gone another 4 or 5 minutes. A really cool opportunity yesterday. If you were at church, I'm shooting this video Monday morning, Monday afternoon. Yesterday at church, Hannah Krim, she sang as part of our worship team. October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month, and it was really cool for me to see, because I've been at this church for a little over 12 years now, and I've seen Hannah grow. I've seen Hannah become an amazing young lady who is so bright and full of life, and she's just fun to watch. Yesterday, I watched her up on stage worshiping and leading worship, and she worships without any reservations. A little later in the afternoon, I had a meeting at another church, and another one of the kids that I watched grow up, that I helped have a part in, lead worship. No other vocalist, no other instrumentalist, just that student and an instrument and his voice, and he led worship. And just to watch where he came from as a child, kind of awkward, kind of I don't want to say different, but a little bashful at times, to go to leading worship for a whole room full of individuals is just really cool to see. So I look forward to seeing that in your kiddos, 12, 14, 18, 20 years down the road, when they're older and they're leading worship, and they're leading others to Christ, and they're making a huge influence in the life of others. So I encourage you, moms and dads. I appreciate you, and I'm going to pray with you before we go. Dear God, I thank you so much for each of these parents who have chosen to do the parent-child dedication. And I pray that right now, as they are coming into this weekend, that they will take heart, that they will take to heart the words that I've said. I know it's may have been jumbled together and very haphazard at times in just a 25-minute video, but I pray that they will listen to this, that they will go to some of the other video teaching, and that they will take it in, and that they will come into Sunday morning not just with a pretty service in mind, but a really thought of how we want to just lift our children to the Lord and say, God, they are yours. Help me to raise them the way you want. Dedicating myself, even as a parent, to raising them for you, Jesus. And we give them to you, because it's you ultimately who gave them to us first. So God, help us to love you and to love them as best as we can. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you watching, and I look forward to seeing you Sunday morning. Thanks.